I think it's no secret that we have a lot of meetings at this company, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question. And I think all of us would agree that sometimes we might be tipping the scales a little bit on how many meetings we have, towards a little overboard. Do you think that we meet too much, and should our time be better spent executing rather than meeting?
So I think there's not an answer for that question. I think that there's seasons. In general, when you're going through what we're going through as a company, right, which is a transition and growth and the desire to scale, one of the things that will absolutely hold a company back is not being in sync, right, and a lack of communication. So there's certainly the death by meeting, or you look at meetings, and the scale can tip, right? But you can look at meetings, which we try to do, as part of our execution. And I argue that a well-run meeting is a time saver, right? And if there is an agenda and it's well-run and it's respectful of people's times, and we come to a decision or we come to clear takeaways and we have action items, what you get out of that is saving so much time in the whirlwind later on. So I think as we grow, as we start new initiatives and things like that, we should always evaluate, is this cadence of meetings delivering the results we want? So to bring that together, yes, meetings are very important. They need to be well run. It's how we get in sync. But we can't fall in love with the process of we do these meetings. Instead, we want to always evaluate, are these meetings leading to the desired outcomes we want? And kind of always question that.
And do you think that our meetings are leading towards the desired outcomes? Or are we having meetings that we walk away and there's nothing resolved?
So I score every meeting I run pretty much, or the most of them I score them, right? How likely would you be to recommend this meeting 1 through 10? Currently, the meetings that I'm hosting are still doing very high net promoter scores, like 50, 60, 70 range. So I think from that, I've got that feedback loop that's telling me they're productive. I think we can talk about, as we have different sales channels, right, distribution channels now, how do you kind of get at a more operational level, sales, ops, and marketing all on the same page? And so right now there's multiple different meetings where ops is addressing its different constituent holders. And so I think we should be thinking about, like, hey, can those be combined, right? And as we start to get in sync, and if the level of noise in the meeting starts to quiet down, right, that means we're probably not accomplishing as much, and we can think about consolidating meetings or shortening them and things like that.
Right. So you made a good point about how you collect feedback on your meetings, right? And we had a conversation yesterday where maybe the LDM wasn't the best meeting that we've hosted, right? What do you think, after taking a look at the scores and then reevaluating last night, what do you think went wrong in the LDM and why the scores came out the way they did?
Okay, so what Matt's referring to is we had a learning development module yesterday, and the scores, the net promoter score, was lower than typical, okay? Which we normally have a lot of 9s and 10s. We had a lot of 7s and 8s this time, and the 7, 8s are throwaway. And so why do we measure? Why do we measure?
To learn.
To learn, to enhance our capacity to learn. So what those scores provide me the opportunity is to then go ask those questions, like, hey, the scores were a little bit lower than they typically were. What is your takeaway from that? And so Blanche gave me good feedback that it was too pedantic, and I had to go Google, what does that mean? And that means it was too formal, right? So one question is the delivery of it, right? Now, okay, so I got some feedback that maybe it wasn't as engaging. I've gotten actually some of the strongest feedback about, and I'm just actually talking out loud about the conflicts I have to go through, because I had several people today tell me about really how profound it was, that it really spoke to them. And they immediately started seeing ways that through time blocking, through saying no to things, by setting their phone off for 20 minutes, that they see the huge benefits of that. There was other people whom I've gotten some feedback where, Rich, that's not practical. You don't understand what I'm going through. And so I think that there's a piece of any of these LDMs that we can articulate better in a way that's, this is aspirational. And I think that the teacher emerges when the student's ready. So part of the problem with the LDMs is that we're not saying, which LDM do you want? Which LDM do you want? Which LDM do you want? We're saying, here's a company are the learning development modules we're doing. And so at times they might not speak to everybody about the need that they have. And so yesterday's LDM, which was essentially, hey, turn your phones off. Hey, we're going to be more productive if we time block. Hey, we're going to be more productive if we focus less on reactive work and do more proactive work. Well, if you're somebody right now who's got a mortgage pipeline that's way overwhelming, that you can barely get through the day, right? And you're responding to 400 emails, and here comes Rich telling you, like, hey, if you want to be more productive, don't respond to emails. I think it's a little bit like if I told you, Matt, I wanted to lose weight. And we go out to dinner, and I order some ice cream. And you go, Rich, are you sure you want to order that ice cream? I'm not that happy with you at that moment. Yes, you're telling me what I need to hear, but I don't necessarily want to hear it. Right. So I do kind of approach it in that with anything that we're doing, we can't let making other people uncomfortable hold us back from achieving our results. Now, I'm talking about, though, not being disrespectful and doing that with compassion, but I still want to keep sort of the confidence within the company that we're gonna try to share information that we think makes people's lives better. And at times that might be unpopular.